Hey there, my name's Renee Prince, and I'm a clinical practicing herbalist and a traditional healer, and I am in North Carolina, in Asheville, and I'm reporting in because people are asking. So the first thing is, this has been a day. I spent my time in Black Mountain, in the area that on one side is Black Mountain, Swananoa, and on the other side is like Bat Cave and Chimney Rock. And so kind of if you split right down the middle, I got the call that a part where it had been locked in, where we hadn't had contact with people, they were starting to free, at least for us to get in and search a certain area, and that we would get to see some people that we had been trying to get to since the first day. And so I dropped what we were doing and I ran that way with one of my helpers, and it was positive in that the resiliency is just dumbfounding, and it was positive in that some of our people were fine and okay, but what we saw was almost indescribable for what had happened in the land. That there had been rivers that had been on the left side of a road, and now they're on the right side of the road, and in doing that, the whole community that lived on the right side of the road just simply did not exist. There was no evidence, just flat open swaths of clay or water or rock. And there was like 10, 20 cars pushed up as a barrier against what had been a bridge, things like that. Things that are like just not describable. And albeit very lucky, and we'll talk about that in a minute, also something that was just not fathomable. During that time, we had workers that were trying to just make it safe for us to pass at that moment. I think everybody pretty much was staged to go in the second something gets open. Like they were like, okay, ready to go. Like everyone had been waiting. There was National Guard that was around as well and things like that. And so we did go to one area that we knew was not open, but had been traveled by on foot at the beginning of the storm to check on it, and could not get through, and that's okay. And the guide that we were with that lived on the mountain told us that for whatever we were seeing right there, what I just described, it was many, many, many times worse, that the landscape is not recognizable, and cars everywhere, houses off the foundation completely gone, and still missing people, so we're not allowed to move debris. And so that was a little disheartening, but the idea around what we saw for help was not like in the time that we went in, and we had to be very careful going in, and it was limited in a car at a time and just like straight down sheer drop with nothing under the asphalt type of thing. In that time period, as we were traveling back, it was built back up, like they had worked really hard and they had built it so it was safer, and came back in what like looked almost like a road, albeit dirt, that they had just trucked and trucked and trucked and trucked loads in and worked really hard. And all of those workers had been standing there the entire time we had been gone and working, from the time that we were waiting to get in to the time that we left around nighttime, like coming into late afternoon. And so that's just unbelievable. And then what everybody has mobilized for the communities, like the place we were waiting to get into, again, zero access, just started getting a helicopter drop a day or so ago, and still there's people missing. So that community, they all worked together, pooled everything they had, have been eating dinners together, and making sure that the other ones had what the other ones didn't, like basically pooling their resources. And so that's just remarkable. The other thing is, all of these people in that back area, because they were like farm folks and mountain folks, had like front end loaders and tractors and things like that, and they still worked just to get from their homes down to the next home, let alone off the mountain. And so they were in that position all of this time. We're on day 12, I think. So for 12 days, just working to get from their homes to each other's homes. And so the idea of that resiliency is just remarkable. And then through all of that, just trying to give us everything. Like legitimately just trying to give us anything that they had that was extra, and give us anything that had been dropped by the helicopters that we could use in one of our other communities. We're gonna go back to Marshall tomorrow to finish up something. So the idea that they're trying to give us everything, and they hadn't been outside of that holler in 12 days or heard from anybody. Like, I want everyone to concentrate on humans are inherently good, that we're born good. We're born in community. We're not supposed to be alone. We're supposed to help each other. And when everyone helps each other, it works. Clearly, because these people were shining examples. They were actually okay. They were joyful. They were trying to help us. They felt sorry for our faces. They saw what we looked like because we were very visibly upset at their conditions. So we will go back there when we get done with our Marshall thing. Done is a stupid word, but with the project that we're doing, right, the second we'll go back to that area. So for all of that I just said, the roads are still blocked off going into Chimney. And then there's one more thing that has to do with that. The whole entire time is helicopters circling and circling and circling where we were. Happened to be that where we were had an open space for landing, and they were circling and circling and circling, filming. It was like, by the end of the day, like, you know, for the 5 o'clock news, it's very evident they were just filming. And I know that that has to be done for things like FEMA and to get the word out, but my God, was it triggering. The idea of like, could you just stop and let these people be okay for a second? Like, couldn't you just get your pictures and go? So the thought of my decision a couple nights ago to be like, we're not going to send any more pictures out, I stand behind that. If anybody needs to see something or needs to know an area, I will give you the pictures that we have. We've been very careful not to get faces or carnage of people's soulful loss, and just to look at the topography, and so you can get the idea. And so I'm happy to share that, but I refuse to send somebody's broken dreams out onto the internet unless we're helping them for some reason. So there's that. So I want to kind of end with something else too. We're getting a lot of questions about, could we report in the areas, please? And the answer is yes. Like, so one of the areas I want to tell you about is we went to the Qualla boundaries, which is the Cherokee area, because there was a request to report in for, it was a request to help and to look for and to report in. It was a couple of days ago. And so I'm going to tell you this, and this is something that you guys need to keep in mind as you're like fighting and arguing about what you're hearing that is true. It's not that something's a lie, it's that it's said for a reason, or that it was that and it quickly moved to something else. So all that area is marked as impassable on the mountain roads going in, like through Maggie Valley and Junaluska. It's not impassable, but it's dangerous. And our roads were clear, but it is like, you'll see, you know, it had a shock, like the earth had a shock. But the people, like, go the highway, the people in Cherokee, the businesses in Cherokee, the restaurants, the attractions, Bear Meat Den, which has been there for years and years and years. I'm saying them in particular. Please go. They want you there to buy local. So I'm not telling a bunch of people to run down there, but what I'm saying is they need you to survive. Local needs you to survive. Can you please just choose right now to purchase from somebody local in this area, in these like 4 county areas are one of the hardest hit areas. Please choose local as much as possible, because these people need to make it through tomorrow, literally. And so the people down there asked us specifically to tell everybody there's safe roads open, and that this would have been like a festival time this past weekend that passed, and they need you there to survive, because come winter it's going to be harder. And so they're okay with you guys going down there. The people I spoke to are okay with you guys going down there, not to be looky-loos, but to go patronize. Is that the right patronage? Is that the right word? I'm frazzled. To try to go and purchase things from their business and go to their restaurants and go to Granny's and eat. And so be respectful, understand what's happened, but also try to support people who are local in these areas as much as possible so that we can make it through. Now, the only other thing I want to say is the amount of grateful I am is beyond. I got to get a shower today, and I kept turning it down because we just needed to work and see. And I was like, no, it's okay, don't worry about it. And it was ridiculously helpful. The idea of not having a shower for a couple weeks or even a couple days and then getting one, you start to figure out that like water is life. Like, think about that. And it's just something that we really don't appreciate until it's not there. So that was like super grateful, more grateful than I realized I was going to be. And that person in that holler that I told you about, like, gave me their clothes to change into, because I didn't have clean clothes, because we don't have water, we don't have sewage. So somebody in that position, because they're so high up on the mountain, has cleaner water with nothing and no road out, gave me their clothes and gave me a shower. So that idea really needs to roll through and ramble through the rest of the world like a breeze, like a current in a wind. Like, we learn about the wind bringing the medicine down the river and through the river grass, and then our river grass tools during ceremony tell us the medicine we need. That's the medicine we need. We need to remember that somebody with nothing thinks they have everything and made my day better. And so that's the medicine we need. The wind blew through the river grass and gave me that medicine today. So that's amazing and super great. And that overwhelmed is not the proper word for, I'm overwhelmed with the graciousness of all of you. Most of you coming from an area that is getting ready to be torn up by the storm, giving and giving and giving to us, and making it so not only these people here trading things and giving to us, but you guys making it so we are okay to go back into Marshall tomorrow with the supplies that we need and to be safe, and that we have all kinds of tools to help us sterilize and breathe and take care of any wounds or soulful wounds, those kind of things, that we are so thankful. Like, I'm not putting any kind of give on our thing tonight. Like, I couldn't want anything right now. There's nothing. So thankful. So I think that's it for right now. If anybody needs to know a specific person or area, please privately ask us. If you need pictures, please privately ask us. And we will do our best to report on how everything's progressing tomorrow. Reach out if you need anything. And I'm not asking for anything tonight. That I have way more than enough. Thank you.